The Super Bowl halftime show stunk, but it wasn't Maroon 5's fault. I thought Maroon 5 was good. I just thought their selection stunk, right? I mean, when I watched it last night, they were just fine. I mean, I know that sounds weird to say because everybody's gonna be like, this show's stunk. But let's really get into it. I mean, Maroon 5 was good. It's just they weren't the right pick for the Super Bowl halftime show. And I've been saying that from day one. Their songs, they're an okay band, right? They have obviously lots of fans, but it was the wrong pick. I don't blame Maroon 5 for that show stinking. Just look at the NFL. I mean, just look at that organization. It's a lot of old billionaire dudes. I mean, they don't know what's, you know what I mean? Like, they have no idea. The NFL needs to just kind of revamp whatever part of their organization it is that picks this halftime performer, because they're just not good, and they haven't really been great at selections the last few years. Although Lady Gaga was good, like Justin Timberlake, all very good. I just feel like, you know, some of these were like, Prince was, Bruce was like, yeah, you know, the Stone, like when they, you know what I'm saying? They were all, some of them they really nailed at the right time. Others not so much. So Maroon 5 was okay. They played really well. It's just the show stunk. I said all they are a band that got big off of soft rock hits. That doesn't play in that environment. It just never worked. By the way, I really felt like the Foo Fighters were the heir apparent for next year. Like before that last night, I just felt like it's got to be the Foo Fighters. But now I'm really seeing like a huge groundswell for Metallica. I don't know who you think goes next year. Who do you think is the heir apparent next year, Metallica or Foo Fighters? I feel like it's got to be one of those two, with like a, you know, with like a Cardi B thrown in or something crazy like that, which I totally think both of those bands could make work and be actually really good, despite the fact that they're completely different genres of music. I think that would work just fine. Chili Peppers and Bruno Mars worked really good for me. Here's the Super Bowl halftime show. Let's go through it.
This one's for you, Jordy.
By the way, I don't know who Jody is or Jordy. I didn't really hear the beginning, but you know, all the people like, are they going to take a knee? They didn't do any of that. I didn't think they would. I mean, it doesn't make sense. They were there to do their thing and perform, and you know, I think all the performers were on the same page there. They wanted to just put on a good show. But again, like, you just can't. Maroon 5 is just not exciting enough. It looked like Levine was a little, like a smidge on the, you know, deer caught in the headlights there in the beginning. Not like he choked or anything, but it's just like you can kind of see on his face, he got a lot more comfortable towards the end of the performance than at the beginning. And then I can't imagine you facing these are seasoned performers, but even this has got to kind of like put you in that like, oh my God, look at the enormity of this situation. By the way, this is just a guess. Not that this is, please don't drag this out. Totally feel like there was some piped in cheering there. I totally feel like this little crowd noise we're hearing, very piped in. Like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, the songs aren't like, yeah, party, you know, they're just not right for the situation. They did not open or close with Moves Like Jagger. Huge mistake. That's an opener or a closer. Like, that was a massive, massive mistake. By the way, Adam Levine settles in here and gets way comfortable and then eventually takes off his shirt, which I'm sure made all of his fans happy. You know, I'm not sure what it did for the average person, though. But he was definitely feeling himself at this point.
This love has taken its toll on me. She said goodbye too many times before. Yeah. Her heart is breaking.
Again, they sound just fine. They sound great, actually. They make music for doctor waiting rooms. I'm sorry. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's perfectly okay. There's plenty of music I hear while I'm waiting for my doctor that I kind of dig. A lot of Steely Dan is played in doctors' offices. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I love me some Steely Dan. You know? There's nothing wrong with it. But it just doesn't, it's, you know, this is what you want to hear when you're waiting on test results. It's not what you want to hear while you're, you know, grabbing some wings, you know, and another can of beer during the Super Bowl. One of the cooler things I thought, though, and I don't know if this was intentionally done. I don't know if we'll ever really find out. But take a listen to this moment right here.
Can I play guitar for you right now?
So they had a nice little jam there. Actually, I was a little impressed with Adam Levine's guitar playing skill. Him shouting out, "Can I play guitar for you?" I don't know if that was in the moment or, and if it was the second thing, it's brilliant. A little tribute to Prince. Because Prince, whose performance at the halftime show is often held as one of the absolute best, if we go back to his performance, this is what he said. Was this back in 2007 when he was performing?
Don't it feel good? Only wanna see you. Can I play this guitar?
So if you remember that performance, he said that right at, you know, in Purple Rain, and right before they put up that big sheet and they put the spotlight on him. So it was like, you know, 50-foot tall Prince, you know, behind the sheet doing that thing. So again, if he was just feeling it in the moment and that's what he said before the guitar solo, fine. But if he, you know, did his homework and wanted to do a little tip of the cap slyly to Prince, brilliant. Perhaps the most brilliant part of their performance altogether, which was followed shortly by the most confusing part for me.
And now, a true musical genius who needs no introduction.
When they brought Travis Scott on, it had a SpongeBob intro. Am I missing? I'm clearly missing something here. And then they had like sort of this like, you know, meteor thing coming down on the stadium and then eventually exploding on the stage, and sounded, I'm sure. And again, I know that the Super Bowl people work super hard on this, and visually it was a beautiful show. It just didn't really work for me. I was surprised that he cursed too, by the way. They beeped him out. I was really shocked that Travis Scott cursed. And again, look, you know, I don't think Travis Scott really makes music for me, right? I'm not a 10, like 10, 12-year-old kids, 14-year-old kids. He's huge with that audience. Not middle-aged dudes like myself. I just didn't think he was that good. Like, again, you want to, like, have some energy.
Let's go. Let's go.
This was much more energy than Maroon 5, though, by the way. Like, tons more energy than Maroon 5. But it's weird, though, because you see the people that are, like, you know, in front of the stage, and they're super into it, and they're, like, obviously, like, the huge mega fans of both of those artists. But then when you like look at that straight shot, so you see the people like dancing in the front, like, but you can see the people behind them and they just look pretty bored. And then that was it. Travis Scott like disappears. Like, you know what I loved about Bruno Mars and the Chili Peppers? They played together. They were on each other's songs. Do you know what I mean? Like, that was the fun part for that. It wasn't just like, oh, you do your part, and then we'll come back and do our part. Marching band comes in. Kind of stereotypical for the Super Bowl to have a marching band involved. You know, a little bit of a cliche. But I get it, because you can. It's a great way to use, like, somebody from the local community. I'm sure that was a local Atlanta marching band. Now, this is their, like, big mega hit, and I thought they actually had a nice little moment on TV there where Adam's facing one side, and he has nobody behind him, and then the camera turns, and he's got this whole big Atlanta choir behind him. So visually, that was, like, a wonderful part of this performance. Because if you see the video for this, he kind of, like, turns, and every time the camera goes behind him, it's a different woman behind him. The video for this song is visually stunning, but again, has little to do with the music. So again, I thought this part was really nice, but again, like this is a lot of people listen to this song. It's a good song, Probably fits the best out of all of their tunes, besides Move Like Jagger. But get you pumped up for the Super Bowl, you know.
Show your love. Show your love. The voice of Atlanta.
And this one, I don't know the name of this song, but obviously I think this is like their biggest hit, right? Or this is one of their early hits at least. And I'm not opposed to, you know, Prince rocked Purple Rain. It was in the rain. Still, like, that was amazing. Like, I'm not opposed to rocking the ballad. But this is like while I'm waiting for root canal music. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not Super Bowl appropriate. I don't even know if this is a ballad per se. By the way, though, this is the part of the show where I got super excited. I literally shouted to my wife, floating, light up globes. I'm thoroughly thrilled about this. And this is the part of the show where those, you know, sort of lanterns went up in the air and they spelled out One Love. As a tech nerd, I mean, was there a more exciting part of the show than this part? Where I saw these things start to move, and I was like, I wonder if they're going to spell out something. And then they started to spell out something. I was so excited. Again, this is the kind of music I'm used to hearing while somebody walks up to me and goes, I got bad news for you, Aunt. It's all infected. We're going to have to give you a root canal. Not, is there any more guacamole left? It doesn't fit. So yeah, the show stunk, but it wasn't Maroon 5's fault. You know what I mean? Like, again, I love Steely Dan. I don't know if I'd go to them for the Super Bowl halftime show. I love Dawes. I don't know if I would go to them for the Super Bowl halftime show. You know what I mean? It just, some bands can be great, and it just doesn't work. All right, let's skip a little. I liked Outkast coming in on the big fat Cadillac. He's wearing the ATL hat, just repping the hometown. I like that in a big way. And this is a good song. By the way, hey, nothing wrong with putting a little R&B in it. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with putting a little R&B in it.
But I know y'all wanted that. Can you feel that? BAS, let's go.
I love the way you move. I love the way you move.
Yeah, come on.
I love the way you move.
I love the way she moves.
Brought the horn section in and everything. Not for nothing, but Outkast could have headlined this show. Outkast could have been, Big Boy could have been the main attraction. And it probably would have been a lot better. It probably would have been better if it was Big Boy headlining and Maroon 5 just kind of joining in. That might have been the thing to do. Because I thought his part was the best. And then he leaves. And then everybody realizes, oh, we're stuck with root canal music again. And it kind of like, it gets a little like, meh. Like, you know,
I'm broken down. I need your loving, I need it now.
like I don't want Adam Levine to feel bad. Like, it's not his fault. I honestly thought he put his heart into it. I thought he did a good job as a front man there. You know, taking his shirt off. His shirt looks like a pillowcase or or a curtain, depending on which meme you saw first online. One of those is going to be funnier to you than the other. It's just not, And again, this is a good song. Like, Sugar's a good song. Moves Like Jagger, a good song. But Sugar at a Super Bowl, again. I feel like I'm making the same point over and over again. Is there anything else I want to see? I don't think so. This is a good tune. Can we just celebrate this tune for a second? It's their best tune ever. This is the only one that's appropriate for the Super Bowl, though. I know some people get mad at me for saying that. And then he took his shirt off and the crowd went crazy. Like, clearly, like, again, here's the thing. If you weren't excited about his shirt coming off, guess what? This wasn't for you. Because this was the whole point. This was the whole point. When we got to this moment, I was like, oh, now I get it. This was not meant for me. Like, Travis Scott was not meant for me. Big Boy was for me. Big Boy's my guy. That's, a big Outkast fan. So Big Boy was for me. That was the one that they gave me a little something. And then everybody started complaining about him being topless, comparing it to the Janet Jackson thing, and it was just like, okay. The internet finds a wonderful way of complaining about anything. The internet can complain about anything. It's just really good. And here's the thing, like, case in point, like this part right here, they had to write riffs just to make something exciting. Like, this wasn't a song, but they had to, like, write this just for the Super Bowl to have something sort of exciting. And no return of Travis Scott or Big Boy. It was just those quick little things. It was, it's just mediocre. Just mediocre. Again, but, they played their hearts out. They played their hearts out. Not their fault. NFL's fault. Totally the NFL's fault. It's just the wrong selection there. I think next year you go Foo Fighters, Metallica, honestly. I think you got to get back into that, like, Super Bowl, like, this is it. This is the thing. Rihanna would be just fine. Again, Pink. You got to get something that's going to be like, boom, boom, something for Super Bowl, something to get you pumped up about. Not break the news to you that you need a crown. All right, there's the review of the Super Bowl halftime show. Would love to know your thoughts on who you think would work best next year. I think the NFL will have an easier time next year getting this done. Oh, by the way, and Gladys Knight was wonderful. Gladys Knight was wonderful doing the anthem. She was great. She was really, really great. And I felt like there was a moment where she kind of looked back at the band that was playing. Like, I felt like there was a slip up there. Like, somebody didn't play the right parts for a moment there, and it didn't break her whatsoever. She sounded great. She looked great. Could I have used the pips? Yeah, I sure could have. Would the pips have made me a smidge happier? It would have. I'm not going to lie to you. It would have. I like to see those two entities come back together. But I'm not greedy. I'm not greedy. Let's get a little Gladys in here.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we...
But what's interesting is, and I know the Kaepernick and the kneeling thing is still like a hot button issue, but I felt like last night it faded a bit. Because I didn't really see like much of the conversation, and again, this is just my opinion on taking the temperature of the trending conversation. It wasn't towards that whatsoever. And it could have been with an incredibly boring game, but it wasn't. So I think that the NFL will have an easier time next year grabbing somebody. And you know what? My wife pointed out something too. She was saying like, Cardi B turned this down, apparently. She was one of the people that turned it down. But yet she appeared in the Pepsi commercial. And Pepsi was the, main sponsor of the halftime show. So I get the like standing in solidarity thing, but she still put a little money in her pocket from the NFL. You know what I mean? Like I get the, I'm not going to do business with the NFL because I'm on Colin Kaepernick's side. Well, then don't take the check from Pepsi then. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like the issue is I shouldn't say the issue. feels like the conversation is fading a bit on that issue. So I don't know if they'll have as hard of a time next year getting people.
And the home
Gladys killing it.
For the easiest